Yo, what is good, guys? It's your boy Persona of Gaming with Persona, your host of Mind of a Gamer, and your host of When Persona Speaks, and a fellow TOA member. And it is Saturday. It is not Wednesday. Um, Today, normally we would be finishing up or be we'd probably be like done with the podcast like an hour in right now. But there's no Mind of a Gamer podcast this week or next week. If you guys missed the announcement on the last podcast last week, we are going to be taking a 2-week break just to give people time. I wanted to give the boys time to, spend time with their family and things like that for Thanksgiving weekend, and things like that. I know I know they got a lot of things they got going on, especially it's holiday time. So I definitely wanted to give them a break from that. And the reason why we're not going to have a podcast next week is because the week after that we'll actually be going to PSX. We'll all be there. So I said I wanted to give them time to get ready for PSX, get ready for whatever it is they got to do, get their stuff in order for when we go to PSX, because we will be doing a live show at PSX. Will it be live? It may not be live, but we'll be doing I will be vlogging a lot at PSX, but we're definitely going to try to do a live show at PSX. If it's not going to be live, it will be uploaded later on that day. So it just depends, because I know a couple of the homies, they're going to be bringing their laptops with them, so uploading that to YouTube may take a little bit, especially on that hotel internet. So it's definitely going to take a minute. But yeah, so that's why no podcast today and no podcast next week. But I said I wanted to do. There was a couple things that I wanted to talk about today. So I said that I was going to do a episode of When Persona Speaks. I haven't actually done an episode of When Persona Speaks in a minute. It's been it's been quite a bit, and a lot of that attributes to you get busy. Whenever you get busy, things tend to change schedules and things like that. Also, I'm still in the process of rebuilding the channel. So in rebuilding, I said I wanted to step back a little bit from When Persona Speaks. But we definitely gonna do an episode today, because it's a lot to talk about. A lot of things have been happening within the gaming community these past couple of weeks, couple months, whatever you want to call it. And it's a few things. I mean, we've addressed a lot of it on Mind of a Gamer, but there's still certain things that I want to talk about personally. Just to give kind of backstory and kind of critique of a few things that have been said in like articles and all that type of stuff. So I do hope you guys enjoy, and if you do, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. So first thing I want to talk about is, like, in the community lately, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of negativity, a lot of anger and frustration about loot boxes and microtransactions, loot boxes, all those great things, right, that we all love. And loot boxes has always been a very touchy subject, just for the simple fact, a lot of people, there's a lot of people on one side that hate loot boxes, and then there's people on the other side that kind of are like, oh, I don't have time. Like, one thing I've heard a lot is, oh, I don't have time to play this game and grind for this thing. I'd rather just pay for it. I've heard that a few times, and it's blown my mind for per se, because me being the type of gamer that I am, I've always been like really like hardcore into gaming. When it comes to, I play a lot of RPGs, and for those that do play a lot of RPGs, you know that in playing RPGs, you do have to grind for a lot of things, even like MMOs, RPGs, sometimes even like action adventure games and stuff like that. You got to grind for certain things that you may want in the game that'll make you stronger. So I've never been one shy of grinding for a piece of gear or grinding for games. I remember when Destiny 1 came out, I remember a lot of people. And remember, Destiny 1 didn't release with loot box. There was no microtransactions for Destiny 1. Surprisingly, because you remember Destiny 1, the publisher for Destiny 1 is who? Activision. And we all know Activision, these dudes, they're always trying to get theirs, they by any means necessary. We all know this from playing the Call of Duties over the years. So when Destiny 1 came out, Destiny 1 had no microtransactions. It had the DLC, had like the expansion packs and all that stuff. But Destiny 1 did not have any microtransactions whatsoever. And one thing about Destiny 1 that I love over Destiny 2 is the fact that the grind in Destiny 1, it was definitely there. It was prevalent. It was known that there was a heavy grind in Destiny 1. In fact, a lot of like the hate and a lot of like the dislike and the disdain that Destiny 1 garnered was due to a lot of people hating the grind. The grind wasn't rewarding enough. You grind for hours and hours and get like a piece of gear, and it just didn't feel like it was enough. It was very unrewarding. It was unappealing. People didn't want to keep playing the same type of content to grind for the gear. That was a big issue in Destiny 1. Me personally, looking back, Destiny 1's grind was awesome. I enjoyed it. Me and my buddies that I played Destiny 1 with, we enjoyed it a lot. And I saw no issue with that, but there was a big issue with that, right? So as time went on in Destiny 1, I think they got microtransactions. When was it? Like a year. I think it was either a year and a half later. They had got when the Taken King DLC expansion pack came out. They also introduced silver dust or some shit like that, and they introduced Everest Green, where you can buy like cosmetic things and shaders and all that bullshit. But fast forward to Destiny 2, and Destiny 2, the issue was they put like a lot of the shaders and things like that behind paywalls. The grind was a lot easier. People were unhappy about this. People were unhappy about that. There's a lot of issues with Destiny 2 that not just myself, but a lot of the casual audience that may have complained about Destiny 1 issues are still complaining about Destiny 2's issues. Destiny 2 being super easy to grind, Destiny 2 being super easy to level up. I mean, I maxed out all 3 of my characters in a month. That's insane, compared to Destiny 1, where it took me several months to do such a thing. And I use Destiny to say this. You can't please everybody, right? I've learned this in my regular life that you can't. It's not possible to please everybody. It's not possible to make everybody happy. And when it comes to loot boxes are, how do I say? Loot boxes are an addition to gaming that is definitely is unwanted by most, or by a lot of people, because I feel certain people that say that they hate loot boxes but still go out and buy or support a game that has microtransactions and has it in abundance. If you say you hate loot boxes but you're still going out and buying the games and buying the loot boxes, or buying the games that have these loot boxes in them that really make it unfair for the community, I personally don't see why you would support at all a dev or support a game. I don't want to say a dev, support a game that does such a thing, such a practice that you hate so much. A lot of with a lot of people, part of the problem with a lot of people in the gaming community that I've noticed is a lot of people aren't consistent with their argument. A lot of people aren't consistent with what they don't like, and a lot of people don't stand by their convictions when it comes to what they quote unquote hate. For as many people to hate loot boxes and microtransactions as much as they do, it's crazy to see a lot of these games still sell. One of the games that I can name off rip is GTA 5. GTA 5 is, I think it's the highest selling game ever or close to it. They have made their money 30 times over just off the sale of the game, not to mention the shark cards and loot boxes and microtransactions that come along with it. Now, granted, GTA 5, whenever they do an update to the game, it is free. There are free updates. So when you look at it that way, is having the microtransactions in the game warranted? A lot of people would say, oh, well, if you get any updates for free, then, the microtransactions okay. But the fact of the matter is, there's still microtransactions in the game. I remember an article came out and they were saying that, what game was it? Red Dead Redemption 2 may have microtransactions. Um, I can bet, I'll bet like a month's worth of pay that, even knowing that news, and if that news does come to fruition, that a lot of people will still go out and pick up Red Dead Redemption 2 because they enjoy the game. They're excited about the game. Um now loot boxes, now when it comes to loot boxes and things like that, they're not necessarily something that you have to buy into. You don't like, you can pick up a game and not buy any loot boxes. I think the issue becomes where a lot of like the games that we do buy, they tend to put progression behind loot boxes. Another one is Forza 7. When it came to that, they put I remember VIP members would get an extra. If you were a VIP member, you would get extra, what is it, RC, SC or some shit like that. They actually lowered the amount that you would get even as a VIP member. They lowered the amount of SC you would get, and they also put like day and night cycle shit like that would help you get more SC. They put that behind microtransactions and loot boxes. That's fucked up. Like I look at that and say that's pretty fucked up. And if that's something you don't agree with, then that's something where you don't want to support a game like that, especially if it's hindering progression in that way. A lot of the times with, like, so for Battlefield 2, Battlefront 2, for instance, um, there's been like a lot of hate and a lot of negativity around Battlefront 2 and its loot box system. Uh, Off rip, I'll just say, especially I have the game, I haven't touched it yet, and I'll get into why I haven't touched it yet in a minute. But when I did play the beta, the game itself, so the game at its core, Battlefront 2 is a great game. I'm hearing nothing but great things about the campaign from like people that I know that have played it. I know Bari played it and streamed it, and I know Bari was telling me that the campaign is really, really good. The multiplayer is great because, like I said, I played the multiplayer, so I know what to expect when it comes to that multiplayer. Um, I know I talked to Court, and Court was telling me that the the loot boxes and microtransactions and all that isn't really that bad. Part of that has to do with them taking the game out of taking the microtransactions and stuff like that out temporarily, quote unquote. But the game at its core is good. My issue with Battlefront 2 is because, first off, before I even get into my issue, when it comes to EA, there's certain things when it comes to it's EA and certain developers and publishers and stuff like that. You tend to know what to expect from certain people. You know, EA being one of them. I mean, looking at FIFA, looking at Madden, looking at Battlefield 1, looking at a lot of the multiplayer games that they have put out, those card coin packs, those gold packs with FIFA and Battlefield 1 shortcuts and loot boxes and all this other shit. You tend to know what to expect from certain people. So when it was discovered that there were loot boxes or were going to be loot boxes in Star Wars, because we knew about loot boxes during the beta. When the beta was out, there was a loot box. There was loot boxes in there. Whatever, right? You kind of look at it. You're like, okay, whatever. There's loot boxes in the game. I mean, you kind of expect that. Whatever. So you kind of brush that off because you're like, okay, whatever. My issue with the Battlefront 2 situation isn't necessarily that there's loot boxes in the game, because again, like I said, you begin to expect those things. My issue lies with the shady practices that they did. Like, we didn't know about the loot boxes hindering your progression or it being heavy pay to win until a week before the game released. That's where my issue lies, because I'm looking at it like, okay, you have loot boxes in the game, whatever. You're not telling me your intent with the loot boxes until a week before launch, and then you tell people, EA tells retailers not to refund people's money. Yo, that's where my issue lies, because I'm like, yo, okay, you want to do loot boxes, whatever, do what you do, but don't have me or gamers out here looking like suckers because you trying to do some shady shit. Like, you made the heroes, like you had to reduce the cost of heroes by 75% just to get one hero. Like, shit like that is where I'm like, the loot box and microtransactions becomes very excessive, because I'm like, damn, yo, like I get it. You want money, like, and part of this is what a lot of people forget too. Like, a lot of us hate loot boxes. A lot of us love loot boxes. A lot of us are indifferent when it comes to loot boxes. One thing that we all have to know and understand is that when it comes to EA, Ubisoft, Activision, Bungie, even Naughty Dog, I mean, when it comes to all of these developers and publishers are, first off, business. I say this all the time too. They're business first. And when it comes to being a business, how does a business succeed? A business succeeds from providing a service and making money. They got to make money in order to keep running. They got to, keep having money coming in order to make better products and quality products and things like that. The issue is a lot of the games that we're getting, the quality isn't going up, but the loot boxes and microtransactions are. The quantity of the product isn't increasing, but the quantity of microtransactions and loot boxes is. That's where my issue is when it comes to loot boxes and microtransactions. That's where my issue is. To sit here or to walk around social media complaining about loot boxes, I don't want to say that issue, like, that's a dead issue to do, or that's a dead thing to do, because I never want to stop somebody from voicing their opinion about something that they dislike. I'm always for people voicing their opinions, even when I don't agree with their opinion. I'm still all for somebody voicing their opinion, because it's a free country, and you can say whatever you want. Really, it's the internet. You can say whatever you want. So, by all means, say what you want to say. Voice your opinion. But again, in voicing your opinion, make sure you stand by what it is that you're talking about. Now, for me, for instance, I'm looking at it like, loot boxes is here. You feel me? Like, they're here. They're going to stay. Even if I don't buy into them, Joe, Sally, and Mark will. You feel me? Me not contributing to loot boxes or microtransactions isn't going to stop the next guy from contributing. I remember somebody from Mass Effect Andromeda, he paid $15,000 in microtransactions. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's very excessive, but that's what they did. They paid for. That's what they did. So me not spending my measly $20 against some dude that's spending 15 grand. I'm not gonna sit here and constantly complain about something that's really here to stay. Now, what I can say is I can I don't want to say necessarily complain, but I can disagree, or I can voice my opinion or voice my dislike for how some developers or some publishers are pumping out games with less content and more microtransactions. That's an issue. That's why I feel an issue is that needs to be fixed. It's like, okay, you want to put microtransactions in the game, fine. That doesn't mean I have to buy into it, but fine, that's what you're going to do. But what about the quality and the quantity of the game? That goes into my next segment, which is the price of the game. I remember I was talking to I think I was talking to Kev, actually. Kev and I know me and Kev and Demi had talked about this, not necessarily on the podcast. Well, we might have talked about it on a podcast, but I know we talked about it on like in private or whatever. But something that I want to ask you guys, and you could type it in the chat or you could type it in later, answer the question later. But something that I want to ask is like, should games still be $60? Because games have been $60 for how long now? Going on, I want to say 12. It's been like 12 years. Because I remember on PS3, games were $50, right? There was no like DLC and all that crazy stuff on PS2. Not PS3, PS2. I meant to say PS2. My fault, PS2. On PS2, games was $50. PS at like the very end, like literally the very end and into the beginning of the PS3 and Xbox 360 cycle, that's when we started getting games at $60, right? Now, $10 more, you're like, whatever. All right, I'll pay it, right? But then on top of paying that $60, we started getting season passes. Season passes is like what, $30, $40, $50 for some. Now fast forward into 2017 or 20. Let's go back to the beginning of the PS4 and Xbox One cycle. And games are still $60. But now we've got games that are $60. We've got season passes that are between $30 and $50. And now we've got microtransactions and loot boxes in the game. When you look at that, how much are you spending on a game? 60 plus, let's say the season pass is $30. So that's 60 plus 30 plus 60, 30. And then say you spend another $30 on loot boxes. That's 110. No, 120. Oh my God. That's $120 right there that you spent on one game. Now, when I was young, gaming, I look at it like this. Looking back, gaming wasn't like super, super expensive. I mean, some games cost a little money. I mean, some of the consoles cost some bread, but outside of that, once you bought what you bought, you got what you got. That was it. Like there was no added bonus, no added this and all that stuff. What you bought, and what you got. I always looked at gaming as an inexpensive way of having a good time. Even to this day, I still try. I try to look at it as an inexpensive way of having a good time, but really, realistically, it's not. Just because we have all these extras, with the season passes and the loot boxes and microtransactions and all these crazy things, all these things that are added into the game now, gaming really isn't an inexpensive way of having a good time like it was in the old days, or even last gen or the gen before that, PS2 days. You really do especially if you're someone like me. I tend to buy a lot of games. I buy a lot. Like I wasn't even able to really take advantage of the Black Friday deals because I've bought pretty much everything. Only thing I didn't have was Shadow of War, which I got for 25. So it's like, I really had everything else. But being a gamer today in 2017, you really do have to have some bread in your pocket in order to really keep up with how gaming is. So, my question is, are we overdue for a price hike when it comes to games? Like, should games really be like $100 a pop now? And if games were to become $100 a pop, would that eliminate, either the season passes that we're getting, or would that enable developers to put more effort into, or put more content and effort into creating these games? Because you have to look at it like this too. Even though gaming isn't an inexpensive way, I'll say console gaming, because gaming as a whole is more of a general statement. So console gaming really isn't an inexpensive way to game anymore. Part of it has to do with us as gamers as well, and our expectations. Our expectations has gone up so much, wanting, better graphics, wanting, each character model has to look a specific way and all these crazy things. Uh, when you factor in those things, and for $60 a pop, I don't know, man. I personally think that maybe we are overdue. Maybe we are overdue for a price hike. I would hope that if we were to get a price increase, that the quality of the games would increase as well, the quality and the quantity. And when I say quantity, I mean quantity in terms of content. But I wouldn't be against a price increase of games overall if it included more quality, more quantity, but also the removal of, say, the season pass, or the removal of microtransactions. Because again, a lot of these things are put into place because, one, developers and gamers know that they can get away with this stuff, and two, a lot of developers and gamers are trying to make ends meet. Like that's the other side of the spectrum when it comes to this, that I think a lot of people forget, man. A lot of these gamers, a lot of these developers, a lot of developers, they struggling. they're really struggling. That's why we got studios closing down, because people aren't buying the games, and games aren't coming out fast enough because people don't have the manpower for it, and people expectations are so high that developers feel pressure to really try to put their all into a game, and then when they put their all into a game, somebody's not buying the game. So that return on investment isn't enough for a lot of developers to really make ends meet. So should games cost more to ensure that a developer is going to get its return on an investment? I sound like a business guy, man. It's terrible. It's a lot of things that you have to factor in with that, with a price increase. But I do think a price increase may be something that we as gamers are past overdue. I think we're way past overdue, especially with inflation and import export cost and all these different things. I definitely do think we're overdue on a price increase. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know how you guys feel about that. I'm interested. So we touched on loot boxes a little bit, and how gamers need to stand by their convictions of loot boxes. If you hate loot boxes, then don't support the game. That's how you let a developer know that this is something that you don't want. But if loot boxes are here to stay, and you're getting all this money from gamers that are buying these loot boxes, surely the quality and the quantity of the content should be growing as well. And with a lot of games, it's not, and that's part of the problem. Random thoughts. I had something else I wanted to talk about. I totally forgot what it was. Damn, I was thinking about it when I first started this, and I literally forgot what it was. Shit. I don't remember. That was gonna be like the random thoughts part, but I forgot. Shit. If I remember it, I'm gonna stream some more probably this week, like do another episode of When Persona Speaks. But yeah, man, just quick thoughts. It's Saturday. It's it's holiday weekend, so I hope you guys enjoyed y'all Thanksgiving. I'm pretty sure a lot of people eat Thanksgiving leftovers like all the way through the weekend. But yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode 11. It's a short one. It's not gonna be too long because I'm trying to play some games, trying to get these platinums and whatnot. Um, but like I said, Mind of a Gamer won't. It's not going to be this week, obviously, and next week we won't have an episode either. We will return at PlayStation Experience on December 9th. That's when we'll have our next episode of When Persona Speaks. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe to my Mog Boys, Demigod Reviews, and Mr. Official VG. Make sure you guys subscribe to my TOA boys, Jay Bari and Upchuck Gaming. Make sure you guys check out Chuck's podcast every Tuesday, 8:30. Plus on Block podcast, really good podcast, really good fighter game podcast. It's good. And yeah, man, enjoy. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.